Good evening, dear ladies and gentlemen, my dear colleagues, esteemed guest faculty Prabhuji, H.G. Ugra Narsingh ji, teacher of Bhakti Shastri. I welcome you, Prabhuji. It is my honor and privilege to welcome you all for the fifth module of Self-Empowerment Program. This is our presidential program of Indian Fertility Society, which is dedicated to empower oneself. In the previous session, we have learned how, in the era of artificial intelligence, one can regulate oneself and harness emotions to pursue the goals. Now, as we step in the new year, everyone must have planned some new year resolution for achieving success and happiness in life. So, staying productive and focused. This is crucial for attaining success and happiness. However, many of us struggle with procrastination, which can lead to missed deadlines, lost opportunities, and increased stress in day to day life. So, in today's session with Prabhuji, we'll explore the practical strategies and techniques to attain transformation of oneself to regain control of your time and goal. So, let's get started. So, I would like to invite our dynamic and hardworking Secretary of Indian Fertility Society, Dr. Shweta Mittal, for the welcome address. Dr. Shweta, please.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Dr. Leena. Every time, I think this is one, when there are programs which deal with our academics, we kind of know. But when these are the programs of self empowerment, every time I get into the topic that what are you going to get the things discussed? And we are gliding through different phases of self empowerment. But when it comes to today's program, I clearly remember only one doha which I would learn in my childhood and which we always remember. काल करे सो आज करे सो अब पल में परले होएगी बहुरी करेगा कब. I think we have read it. We have learned some meaning of this doha, but I'm sure that today Guruji is going to tell us a vast, dynamic, aspect and facet and multifacets, I think. So I'm looking forward to it. I feel like a complete student when it comes to self-empowerment program, very naive. And I'm eagerly waiting to learn something and to imbibe something, in my daily life. So thank you, Prabhuji, for agreeing to be a part of this program. And now I think I will hand over to our president, Dr. Pankaj.
Yes, yes, yes.
And I think it is his brainchild. And he always, every time, we travel together, and sir will always tell me something, some preaching. So he's full of knowledge. Uh, Sir, all over to you.
Yeah, welcome, Dr. Pankaj. It is our President, Dr. Pankaj Talwar's vision of empowering oneself, especially each and every one of us at individual level, and especially the younger generation. So this is his dream project. I welcome you, Dr. Pankaj Talwar, sir.
Thank you, Leena. Thank you so much, and thank you, Dr. Bharti, for leading this from the front. It's indeed my dream project. It is, and I'm so happy that it is in safe hands. And today we have got Prabhuji here to, and I'm so mesmerized by your radiance, sir. And I'm sure that everyone will benefit with your green presence and your good talk. I have to speak something. So I just picked up certain things in a few minutes, and in the whole life, when I look at my own life, look at anybody's life, look at the data available to us, हम अपने जीवन के अंदर एक साल के अंदर तकरीबन 4 महीने तो सोते हैं. 4 months we sleep tight. 3.5 महीना we use mobile phones. That takes out around 7.5 months of our life. बच गए 3-4 महीने, उसमें जो करना है उसमें करते हैं हम लोग. And then we go into hurry. We're always in a hurry. All of us are in a tearing hurry nowadays to get success, achievement. Then we make the spider web out of our lives, all of us. And by the time we realize that this spider web is too late, and we meet Guruji in the end. So I'll just quote you a little story which I liked. बहुत समय पहले डेविल डेविल ने बोला कि मुझे अभी धरती पे राज करना है. So devil was a very strong guy and he had a big army of people. So devil had a board meeting. He was the CEO. So meeting is on, bridge is laid, and devil says, who's gonna do what? सबसे पहले आया greed. Greed was the first management leader with the CEO of devil. उसने बोला धरती पे जाओ और कुछ करके आओ. तो क्या करोगे? He said, I will go down on the earth and tell people they have to be greedy. I'll whisper in like a Santa Claus, no? Come to everybody's ears and say, be greedy. ग्रीड फैलेगा तो लोग लालची बनेंगे और धरती प्रोग्रेस नहीं करेगी. तब हमारा राज हो जाएगा. He said, wonderful, you go. Next comes vasana or lust. Always thinking about getting a lot of things in the world which are not yours. He said, people will be so unhappy with themselves and unhappy with the people around them. They will always be unhappy. That's what we want. He said, okay, you are also a good management leader. You also go. Third guy says, I'll also go, sir. Well, आप क्या करेंगे? He said, I will go and spread despair and grief. सब दुखी रहेंगे तो बस आपका बोलबाला होगा and you'll become the true leader. कहता okay, all three of you go. Little boy was there. गुरुजी एक छोटा सा बच्चा होता है. वो कहते मैं भी जाऊंगा. तुम क्या करोगे? कहते मैं जाके बोलूंगा जो मुझे भगवान ने सिखाया कि आप बहुत अच्छे हो, आप बहुत अच्छे काम कर सकते हो, and you're a very very wonderful people. I'll go and tell everyone sleeping. I'll go to Leena, I'll go to Bharti madam, I'll go to Shweta. Very very good girls. कहता फिर भी तो यू आर अगेंस्ट माई पॉलिसीज. कहता नो, पर एक चीज और भी बोलूंगा कि धरती पे एक जन्म मिला है, आराम करो, थोड़ा सोलो. कोई जल्दी नहीं है काम करने की. सारे काम अपने आप से होते रहते. प्रभु सारे काम अपने आप से कर देते हैं. एंड दैट वाज कॉल्ड प्रोक्रेस्टिनेशन. एंड दैट इज द बिगेस्ट एनिमी वी हैव. एंड they will send him down and held everyone back. So we're all procrastinating in our life. एक साल के अंदर 4.5 महीने सोना, 3 महीने मोबाइल फोन, रह गए 4-5 महीने, उसके अंदर हम करते हैं प्रोक्रेस्टिनेशन. I think ask the people who we follow on our websites. Look at Bill Gates, look at Steve Jobs, look at Coldplay. अभी एक टिकट Coldplay की 1 लाख में बिकती है. Everyone wants to go to Dubai or some place to watch Coldplay. I think they all started very small. We can never be perfect in our lives. I feel that we have to start small, little baby steps, and then finally we will achieve big things in our life. So I think the coming year, I will tell everyone that from my side, from IFS side, that we should, हमें एक चीज छोड़नी है, perfection. हमारा सबसे बड़ा जो enemy है life का, that is before procrastination, that is called perfection. We all want to be perfect. And to be perfect, we don't do things. And that is called procrastination. अगर हम जीवन से 2 चीजें निकालना चाहें, first would be perfection, take baby steps, fail, fall down, get up again and start walking. That'll remove all the procrastination from our lives. I'm very very sure that by doing these things, we'll have a good beginning of the new year. मेरा जो फंडा है सिंपल सा, जो मेरा पॉलिसी है एज एन एक्स आर्मी गाय, इज टू मेंटेन कैलेंडर्स. जब भी मैं भटकता हूँ तो मेरा कैलेंडर मेरे को रोक देता है. तो गुरुजी may not agree with me. He'll give you big knowledge, but I am a great follower of Google Calendars. I manage my time in such a way that I don't have time to procrastinate. That calendar will tell me what I have to do. So, as a president, my message for all of you would be that in case you're like me, forgetful, always procrastinating, running for perfection and not doing things, wear a Google Calendar around you, and that will tell you what to do in your life. So, thank you so much. I must congratulate Dr. Bharti, Dr. Leena, and Dr. Rajvi. Rajvi, you're here?
Yeah,
Dr.
she's
Rajvi. So I've not seen her. Hi,
yeah.
Rajvi, how are you?
Yes,
And
all good, all
Shweta,
good.
and all the members who have joined us today. I think it's going to be a very hard-hitting lecture and pravachan from Guruji, and we're gonna learn from him. So with this, I hand over the mic back to you, Leena. Over to you.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Pankaj. So now I take the privilege of inviting our national coordinator of self-empowerment program, Dr. Bharti Dhore Patil. Madam is a renowned IVF specialist at Pune, as well as a very spiritual person. She has been awarded Bhakti Shastri degree. I'll request Madam to please introduce Prabhuji and about the session. Madam, please.
Thank you so much, Dr. Leena. Good evening, all, and congratulations again. I think this is all Leena's initiative. She's been after many different thought processes for self-empowerment. Thank you, Dr. Pankaj and Dr. Shweta, for giving us this platform to have some innovative program, and that is empower yourself. And that was something we took forward. This is a fifth session. And we are lucky today to have a very renowned and my Shiksha Guru actually, H.G. Ugra Narsingh Prabhu to talk about how to overcome the procrastination. Just to introduce Dr. H.G. Ugra Narsingh Prabhu, because you should know that what is his background and how he's been now into the spirituality, and you will see his talk, the way he simplifies the things. It is amazing and it's completely wonderful, and you will all witness that in next 25 minutes. So we would like to introduce him. He's Bachelor of Engineering in Mechanical Stream from MIT Pune. Since last 25 years, he has worked with many esteemed organizations like TCS, Infosys, L&T, and currently he's working with HSBC, Hong Kong Shanghai Banking Corporation as a Global Delivery Manager. On the spiritual side, he's been teaching Gita from year 2001 when he was in America. And since that, he's preaching this knowledge to all here in India also. He has done his in-depth study of Gita, Bhagavad Gita, and attained Bhakti Shastri degree in ISKCON. And he's also teacher of Bhakti Shastri in BBRV, University of ISKCON, where we have also learned our Bhakti Shastri, and he was our teacher. He, along with Mataji, both of them have taught us Bhakti Shastri, and you will come to know how he is been now in his lecture incorporate all those things. He has got a rich experience in corporate world along with his strong spiritual practice based on Bhagavad Gita. And that will surely, I think, will help all our participants, doctors, to implement the teaching of Bhagavad Gita in their daily life, because we know that Bhagavad Gita is not only a spiritual aspect, but it is a manual of human life. So with this introduction, I would like to welcome H.G. His Grace Ugra Narsingh Prabhu for his talk on overcoming procrastination. Over to you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, everyone. Special thanks to this entire leadership team over here. I mean, it's really amazing to see that, in spite of your busy schedules, you are really focusing on that which really matters a lot in life, right? I mean, externals is one thing, but internals is what carries the true value. And in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, right, yad yad acharite shreshto. What great people do, common men follow. So, it's happy to see that the leaders of the society over here are setting an example by leading themselves. So it's really nice. So thank you again, to invite me over here. And I have this small session which I'll be, walking through for the next 40 minutes. That's what I've been told for. Normally this session, like, when I do it, it's more like a workshop that I do it. Sometimes it's like for the entire day. We'll try to see how we can fit it in 40 minutes, and let's see, how it goes. I'm very sure, most of you are very familiar to this terminology. Like, Pankaj sir said that he maintains his calendar. It's like one of the key things, to get rid of procrastination. So, he kind of hit on the dot, I would say, it's like, It's just how we understand this psychology. That's what I'm going to present, and I'll try to explain the Bhagavad Gita side of it. Okay, so I'm going to present my screen over here. Okay, can you confirm that you're able to see my screen?
Yes.
Yes,
Perfect.
Prabhu.
Yes,
Yeah.
Prabhu.
Okay, thank you so much. And we'll start with this. Okay, so we'll start with a few basics. What is Bhagavad Gita? Uh, I'm sure that, I mean, this is not a new term for all of us. I mean, all of us really know what Bhagavad Gita is and what it carries. Why we need Gita? I'll just try to talk a little bit about it and how Gita helps. Okay. So Bhagavad Gita, as we know, it is mentioned in the scripture itself. It's, the life manual. I mean, many people categorize Bhagavad Gita as a religious scripture, but Bhagavad Gita is much more than a religious scripture. It's actually a life manual. And how is it a life manual? So I'll give a very simple example in a very quick time. So we all know the famous personality Arjuna, to whom Bhagavad Gita was actually spoken by Krishna. Now it's amazing to understand this personality. Now, who was Arjuna? So when we define success, or rather, I would say when most of the people define success or successful person, there are different attributes by which they measure success. One of the attributes they measure success is, okay, someone who is, having a divine birth or born in an aristocratic family. One of the parameters. Okay, I'm just saying that. Now when we talk about Arjuna, his birth was divine. His father was Indra, the king of gods. Okay, in terms of skills, I mean, there was no match to Arjuna, right? He was called as Savyasachi, where it's difficult for a person to aim on the target. Arjuna was such a personality, he was able to shoot using both his hands. One of his name is Savyasachi. So in skillfulness, no one could match him in the entire Mahabharata. Dhananjaya. Arjuna was a personality who had acquired enormous amount of wealth. He had conquered all the regions. He had captured so much wealth. He was the wealthiest. In terms of attraction, he was such a personality. Not only the princes of this planet, but even the heavenly damsels were attracted to Arjuna. There are instances of how the Apsaras were also attracted to the personality of Arjuna. In terms of success, in his entire life he did not lose a single battle. That is the success, 100% success. Okay, in terms of achievements, I mean, just like we achieve different kinds of degrees, Arjuna had achieved different kinds of weapons and the art of, firing those weapons and fighting and those kind of things. He had achieved it even from the gods. He was able to fight with the gods also with those. In terms of his nature, he was completely fearless. I mean, there are instances where Arjuna has fought single-handedly an entire war. One of the classic examples is the Virat War, where he did that. And finally, in terms of, his social stature, friends, well-wishers, I mean, not only the kings of this planet, but Arjuna had friends across planetary systems. So it's amazing that, the kind of personality Arjuna was. Now, in this world, if someone possesses even one of these attributes, we term that person as a successful person. Like this person has so much wealth, is successful over here. This person has, such a wonderful skills, is successful there. Those kind of things we attribute to. And Arjuna had a combination of all of this. But such a personality, when he encountered a dire situation, that time he went into depression. When it was the battle of his life, the most important battle that he was supposed to fight, at that point in time, all his, attributes, they failed to encourage him. He went into such a depressive mode that he was ready to back out from that situation. Bhagavad Gita is actually this science which Krishna is trying to present in front of us. He's trying to tell that while externals matter, it is the internals that will retain, all your externals. Your externals have zero value if your internals fails, if your internal qualities fail, right? So then misidentity can bring down even the best. What is misidentity? Well, Arjuna was misidentifying his attachments, his dharma, his understanding of himself. Those kind of misidentities or about himself, those misidentities were leading him to do something which he was not, he should not be doing. And that is where Bhagavad Gita really brings out a best from any person. So when we talk about Bhagavad Gita, we often say that Bhagavad Gita is one book where you get all the answers. And how do you get all the answers? Well, you get all the answers if you are able to apply them, understand them. Yes, you will get all the answers in Bhagavad Gita. And Bhagavad Gita, again, it focuses more on the internals than externals. So that is what Bhagavad Gita is all about. This is just in a small nutshell about the importance of the scripture. Because when I started reading this book, I was really mesmerized, by the amazing content that this book presents. And when we compare with the soft skills, like in our corporate world, we always tell people, like I always tell my team members that, I mean, your skills, yes, they will, maintain your job, retain your job, and get you a good salary. But if you want to grow, you will have to cultivate a lot of soft skills. And those qualities, those skills, Bhagavad Gita is a book that actually enhances, or it talks about. And most of these books, when we read about these corporate books like the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, or the Monk Who Sold His Ferrari, or many such books, if you look at the underlying principles, they are really derived from Bhagavad Gita. So one such topic, of Bhagavad Gita, we are going to touch base today, and that is related to procrastination. Bhagavad Gita has around 700 verses, uh, and each verse is like a formula in itself, which can be expanded more and more to, extract a lot of value from it. And we are just going to look at one aspect of Bhagavad Gita, and very, very specific to the procrastination problem that most of us really encounter. So with that, I'm actually going to get into the main topic of procrastination. So what's actually procrastination? So typically, if you take a scenario, right? So say for example, I'll relate myself in my college days. I remember whenever there is a project assigned to me, and when I know that there is a timeline available for me, say for example, I have a 4 weeks timeline to complete a specific project, then immediately, my analytical brain would get over there and say, okay, in first week I'll complete 25%, second week 50, 75, 100. I mean, it's a very easy, clear-cut plan that I put in place. But very soon I come to know that, I have already wasted my first week doing nothing. And then again, the brain, gets into the analytical mode and says, no problem, I still have 3 weeks. I will go 33%, 66, 99, 100%. And then you get into the second week and nothing is done. And then again, you recalibrate, and then it's like 50% and 100%. And finally, you're in the last week where nothing is achieved, and now you have to complete all the 100% in that 1 week, right? And I mean, this is the situation. I don't know about, like from the medical field how it is, but I remember most of the engineers, my college days, I definitely remember, sitting in hostels and, late night submissions and completions and all these things. I mean, this is what we went through day in and day out. Believe me, I mean, this is one of the problems. And not only in the college days, but even in the corporate world, we see this, repeating again and again in our day-to-day life. So this is like the problem statement where the tendency to defer, work, when you know that you have a timeline which is little farther from the immediate timeline, that tendency is the procrastination. Now, it's amazing. There was a session that was conducted by one of the speakers called as Tim Jennings, where he brings in the psychological aspect of procrastination. And, when I heard that seminar, I was able to relate it to Bhagavad Gita. And I'm going to bring in a blend of both of that. Okay. So he talks very wonderfully. He says that, so when you look at this procrastination thing, then you want to get into the brain of the procrastinator and try to understand that what exactly happens in the brain of a procrastinator. And in a very comic manner, he depicts that what exactly does the brain of a procrastinator look like. So when we, so as per Bhagavad Gita, when we look at what we are made of, so we have three parts actually. We have the gross body, which is, the skin, flesh that we look at every day in the mirror, right? Which is made of this earth, water, fire, air, ether. Right? The five pancha bhutas, or the five elements that we talk about. But then there is a subtle body which cannot be captured anywhere, in no X-ray machine or anywhere, right? Which comprises of the mind, intelligence, and false ego. We all acknowledge them. We all know that it exists. It's just that we don't know where it exists. And then finally, it's the soul, whom, some people attribute as energy, some people attribute as some kind of power. Bhagavad Gita talks it as a soul, right? So today we are going to focus on the subtle body. Okay, we are not getting into the soul. We are not talking about the gross body, but we are going to talk about the subtle body, specifically about the mind, intelligence, and false ego. But because this subtle body directly correlates to the brain, so we are going to get into the brain of a procrastinator. So what does the brain of a procrastinator look like? So when you zoom into the brain of a procrastinator, you will find that there is a rational decision maker, right? Who is that rational decision maker? That's the intelligence, right? A rational decision maker is the one who plans things. So just in the previous slide where you looked at, that bar graph where it was like 25%, 50%. So the moment there is some work assigned to a rational decision maker, immediately he comes up with a plan that, okay, this is the work, or this is the task in my hand, and this is how I want to execute it. So the rational decision maker is very good in planning, and that is what the brain of a procrastinator first looks like. But then, if you have such a good person within you, the rational decision maker, then where does the problem lie? Why there is procrastination? When you zoom little bit more, you find out that along with this rational decision maker, there is a monkey sitting over there. And this monkey is the problem child. Because what this monkey wants, he distracts the rational decision maker. The only thing that the monkey is interested is in immediate enjoyment. So whenever the rational decision maker wants to do something, the monkey will try to uh, pull him down by saying, well, what's the hurry in doing things? Why don't you just chill down? Why don't you just watch a movie for now? Why don't you just enjoy right now? Might be, the work might go away, might be you might not need the work. I mean, that the only thing that the monkey wants is immediate enjoyment. He's not interested in achieving something. So I mean, that is what the monkey looks like, and that is where you see most of the procrastinators, what they really do. I mean, in our days, right, like when we talk about, because I mean, most of us, we did our graduations in 1990s, or 80s or something like that, right? And during those times, of course, we did not have the mobiles to distract us, but then we had the televisions, right? And I mean, people, these guys would just sit around and loiter around on the couch and be eating popcorns and watching movies and televisions and those kind of things. Today, I mean, you don't need to sit on a couch for the television. You just have your mobiles in your hand, and can be scrolling the entire day and just wasting your time, right? So the monkey is the problem child over here, the immediate sense enjoyer. But then there is another person who sits in our brain, because of whom we are able to complete the work. Because you notice that even a procrastinator, he does complete his work. Okay. And that person is nothing but a panic monster. Now, this panic monster, he wakes up whenever he sees deadlines, whenever there is pressure, whenever there is threats of, whatever job, fame, whatever it is, this monster wakes up. And this monster, the moment the monster wakes up, the monkey is scared of this monster, he runs away. And then, under the influence of this monster, the person hurries up and completes his work. Okay. So this is how a typical procrastinator brain looks like. There is a planner, but then there is the distractor, but then there is also a guy who is like the panic monster who creates that panic and kind of forces or pushes to get things done. But the interesting part is, even if you get the things done, the quality of the execution is not really that good, right? I mean, you do work just for the sake of doing things, right? So then what does Gita talk about this natures? Okay. So in Bhagavad Gita, there is a shloka in the 14th chapter. It talks about the three modes. And what it refers is, Sattvam Sukhe Sanjayati, right? Raja Karmani Bharata, Jnanam Avrittatu Tama. So the three modes, Bhagavad Gita explains, one is the Sattva Guna, then there is a Raja Guna, and then there is a Tamo Guna. Now, if I go back over here, if I try to relate, the first guy, that is the rational decision maker, he is more in the Sattva Guna. He's a planner, he's a very calm person, he plans out things very well. So planner, Sattva Guna. But the monkey is a tamoguni, he's more only in enjoyment, lethargy, that is what he wants. And the panic monster, he is a rajasic, the rajaguna, where he just hurries up things. He pushes you to get things done. Now, interestingly, all these modes have a role to play in our life. I mean, of course, Sattva Guna is the best, but at the same time, you do need Rajaguna when you want to get things done. At the same time, you also need the Tamoguna. So, say for example, body needs rest. Now, during resting time, it needs to get into that so-called ignorance mode so that it just lies down and pacifies. It cannot be in Rajoguna at that time, otherwise it will never get that rest. So the modes have their prominence, the modes have their importance. But if one gets influenced too much by a particular mode at a wrong time, then it causes problems. Okay. So that is where in Bhagavad Gita, it mentions how the mode of goodness is very important. Sarva dvareshu dehi smin upajayate. What it talks about is sarva dvareshu. Our body has different gates through which we acquire knowledge. So say our eyes, our nose, ears, our mouth, tongue, our genitals, and our rectum. So these are like the 9 holes in our body, and through this we acquire a different kind of knowledge. So they are like the dwars, knowledge acquiring senses you can talk about. Now, sarva dwareshu, in the mode of goodness, it says all these gates, they are illuminated. Now, when a gate is illuminated, or why a gate is illuminated, so let's take an example. Say for example, if I am living in a room that is dark, and the room has a door, and outside also it is dark. So if it is dark outside and if it is dark inside, and when I open the gate, I will not even notice who is coming in and who is going out, right? That is mode of ignorance. But when there is light, I can actually see, oh, these people are trying to get inside. And I can stop them that, oh, no, 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 you cannot come in. Similarly, when a person's senses are illuminated in the mode of goodness, in spite of the different desires, when they try to get in, he can very easily see them and understand whether they are the right ones or he should not entertain them. And that is why it is very, very necessary to be in the mode of goodness. Okay. Now, the same analogy, okay, we can even understand with the help of uh, gloves. Okay, I've just tried to put an analogy over here. So if I have to compare the mode of goodness with a surgical gloves, so most of you all doctors, you wear those surgical gloves during surgery. Now, the surgical glove is very thin and it transmits 99% of your fingers or hand intricacies while performing the surgery, right? So it's very, very delicate, and whatever your fingers or hand needs to do, the gloves very easily transmits it. Similarly, the nature of intelligence is very well or 98, 99% transmitted in the mode of goodness. That is how mode of goodness is the transmission is maximum over there. When you come to the next example, that is like a cricket glove. Now a cricket glove, this is a glove which like typically a wicket keeper wears. Now he's able to catch the ball. Okay, so there is some kind of uh, expressiveness of the fingers while catching the ball. So yes, it is there, but it is not as transmissive as that of the surgical gloves. So typically, if you see, if a wicket keeper has to throw the ball from a particular distance on the stumps or something like that, he cannot throw it in an accurate manner. He many a times they have to remove the gloves to throw the ball, right? So this is little bit thicker in nature. Basically, what it means is that the capability of the hand gets reduced because of the gloves thickness. The transferability reduces over there. So similarly, in the mode of rajas or the mode of passion, the intelligence transferability reduces. It's not 100%. It gets reduced because of multiple factors, right? That is where you see different kinds of things. Aggression is there, anger is there, hastiness is there, those kind of things you will start seeing. So the intelligence is not 100% transferred over there. And finally you have like the boxing gloves. Now in this, I mean, there is literally 0% of the finger transferability. It's only sheer strength. Many a times the fingers will not even notice what's going on. It's like just punching with your arms and muscles and those kind of things. So mode of ignorance is that kind of mode where hardly the person understand what's happening over there, right? So this is how these modes, they keep acting on us from time to time, and it is this modes which actually influence this procrastination nature within us. Okay, so then the question someone might ask is it that a procrastinator does not get things done? So we tried to answer that in the earlier thing, that yes, he gets things done because of the panic monster sitting over there, but they are not the way it is supposed to happen, or they are not of the optimum quality or the best quality. Okay, so then if someone says that, well, it's fine, I don't care about the quality, what I just care about is work should get done, so if it is the panic monster who gets work done for me, I am fine with it, I don't worry about it as long as the work is getting done. But now here also there is a problem. The problem is the panic monster wakes up whenever there is a deadline. But the problem that we have is our life is an infinite game. If you look at the different roles that we play in our life, which is like, a role of a family member or taking care of our health, be it on the spiritual side, be it on our professional side, and be it on the social side, like friends, right? All these are the different balls of life that we need to balance. And they all do not have deadlines. None of them really have deadlines, right? So then, if there are no deadlines, this panic monster is never going to wake up. And if he's never going to wake up, and that is where you see people, time and again, in spite of they knowing that, this is not good for my health. Oh, I need to do this for my health. They keep procrastinating. Oh, not today, tomorrow, oh, not today, tomorrow. Why does that happen? Because there is no deadline that is coming unless and until, they see a medical report which shows that, oh, you know what, you have this problems. Now that's where the deadline creeps in, and when that deadline creeps in, then they become health conscious. Then they will find some, gym or some exercise, this that, they'll start doing all those kind of things. Or same is with family, or same is with, the professional nature, or same is with the social thing. So life is an infinite game, and we cannot play it with the finite rules. So when I say life is an infinite game, what really it means? Number one, there are unknown timelines. We don't know, the timelines of anything that will come. Second is, we have unknown players. We don't know which elements will pop up surprises in our life. When you talk about a game with finite timelines, so you take an example of like cricket, or you take an example of soccer, right? So soccer, they play for 90 minutes, or cricket, they will play for whatever, 50 overs, or in test match they will play for 5 days, or in T20 they will play for 20 overs, whatever. But there is a finite timeline over there. It's not like infinite or unlimited. Similarly, the players are known over there. It's only this 10 players or 11 players who will come on the field. All of a sudden, it's not going to be like 22 players are going to sit over there. But in life, that's not going to happen. In life, you will have unknown players whom you never expect also. There are no defined rules in life, right? You will always be surprised. Life will keep throwing challenges at you again and again. Surprises will keep coming there. And again, in life, there are no agreed objectives. There might be some, but there are none. So this is the game in which we are right now. And in this kind of game, the monster is never going to wake up. And that is where we land into the problems. And when people land into problems, they go through multiple negative emotions. So though we talk something like depression, but this depression can go into a very severe thing, like people even go to the extent of committing suicides and those kind of things. I always wonder, see, the amazing part is, we hear news about students in IITs, IIMs, and big institutes committing suicides, and one wonders why. I mean, you have been the cream layer of, out of lakhs and lakhs of students, you are the ones who were chosen in that university or in that college. So what went wrong over there? And this is the problem. I mean, our entire life, we have always been taught in our education system only about the externals. The success is only measured from the externals. Not so much is talked about the internals. It's only when we come into the professional words, we talk about the soft skills and those kind of things. Hardly in, schools and colleges, this kind of things have been taught, which actually is very, very important thing, which every person should undergo. Okay, so then from the time we are born, we are playing the game of life. Now our choices decide if we are playing with a finite mindset or the infinite mindset. Okay, so we know the problem now. Okay, now we will try to get into the solution mode. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to quickly talk about, a small solution. Now, again, I mean, not necessarily this is the solution, right? You all might in your life would have experienced a better approach. I mean, please follow that if that works very well for you. But there is, if you don't have any, I mean, there is a suggestion that I have about the solution, which I will share with you all. After that, I'm actually going to show you a small demonstration of how that solution can be applied in our lives. Okay. So just like we have vitamin C to build in immunity, so our solution consists of 3 C's. Okay. Number one, clarity, number two, consistency, number three, connection. Okay. So what is clarity? Clarity is clarity about what we want to do or what we want to achieve. So when we talked about this five balls over here, or the five roles that we play in our life, we should be clear about within these five roles, what is that I want to achieve, which I can term as success for me. So what are goals? So goals are very, very important. I can give you a very small, um, you know, there was actually exercise done to understand, the mindset about a goal oriented approach. So what they did is they had a big hall, okay, and they had this kindergarten children they brought in the hall. And what they told, they used to call a child and they used to tell the child that, the objective for you is to go to the corner of a room. Okay, you have to reach to a corner of the room. And whenever the child would start walking from the door towards a particular corner, what these people used to do is, in his path, immediately they used to keep some chair or table in front of the child. The moment they would place a chair or a table in front of the child would stop at that point, because now his path towards a particular corner is being stopped. So then they did another exercise where they marked the corner and they said that your objective is to reach to this particular corner. So they marked the corner and said, you go to this right corner of the room. Now, when they had told the child exactly where the child has to go, and when the child started walking, they used to keep again the chair or a table. What they noticed is the child would either go under the table, or he would go on top of the table, or he would go around the table and reach to the corner. So what they realized is, whenever there is a clarity about what he needs to achieve or where he needs to reach, the child would find his way in spite of hindrances coming in his way. But when there was no clarity, when there was an arbitrary goal that, you have to just reach a corner, which corner, I don't know. And the moment there is a hindrance in between, the child would stop. He would get confused because he himself is already confused as to where he needs to reach. So similarly, for us, clarity is very important. So we say, right, never greet the dawn without a map. Similarly, never start your day without a plan. We should have a very clear-cut plan that, what is that I want to achieve today. Okay. So there is a long-term, old saying which says, what gets written gets done. Like Pankaj sir said, he has a calendar. So what gets written gets done. If you see that on your calendar, naturally, you know what you need to do. If it's not written, then you're never going to do it, or you will always be confused about doing it. Like, I'll tell you one thing. So there was a problem that I faced in my early days, and the problem was I had a big library of different books, and every time I used to find some free time to read a book, I used to just go to my library, I used to pick a book, and I would start reading it. And I would have like half an hour or 1 hour, and I would read for that 1 hour. I would keep the book, and after that I used to get time, say after like a month or so, and that time I would go and I would pick up another book. I never ended up completing even a single book. Okay. It's only when I planned out things that, okay, this is the book that I want to complete in so many days, I actually did a focus reading and achieved, completing books. So it is very, very important that, what gets written gets done. Uh, in our IT world, there is a 80-20 principle called as the Pareto principle. It's a very common thing, right? 80% of the things get done by 20% of people, or by 20% of your actions, 80% of your targets get met, and those kind of things, right? That's the Pareto principle. But there is an interesting principle which is now talked, and that is the 10-90 principle. And what this principle talks about is, it says Spending 10% of your time in planning activity will save 90% of your time. It's amazing, like you take a simple example, for the ladies, I can talk about that. uh, if you plan that tomorrow morning which sabji I want to make, the previous night you will save a lot of time. Otherwise, I mean, I know, in my family, my mother, she will talk about every day morning, she'll wake up and she'll say like, okay, what sabji should I cook? So the moment that question comes, that means you're not prepared, and then it starts from, oh, go and buy the tomatoes, and then this is missing and that is missing, and I mean, that thing which can get done in like 30 minutes or 40 minutes, you see that it goes on for 3 hours or 4 hours. So planning, I mean, I'm just talking about a simple example, but for us, I mean, if we can plan our next day just by planning the previous day, a lot of things can be achieved. So we should have goals in life. The goals should be progressive in nature. So here I've just put some pointers. They should be in progressive in nature, so it should be incremental. Second is there should be visibility. So when we put goals, bring visibility to them. I mean, never write goals somewhere and keep them in your diary like most of the people do, right? New year is coming, people buy wonderful new diaries and then they put some resolutions over there, but then the diary is inside the locker or sitting inside the drawer and never to be opened, and you don't know what the goal was. I would prefer to have whiteboards in my room. If we go to corporate offices, if you see over there the vision, mission, they are printed in big bold letters with different posters and they're pasted all over the organization. Why is that? So that it is visible. Every time your goal is visible to you, it is highly likely that you're going to hit the target. Every time your goal is not visible to you, you're always going to miss that target. Okay. The next thing is it should be measurable. If you want to improve, it should be measured. Unless and until you can measure your goals, you will never be able to improve. So have measurable goals. So let them be more objective than subjective, so that way. And finally, actionable. I mean, don't put a goal which is not achievable at all. Again, uh, take those, baby steps, you can always say, right? I always tell my students or my teams, I always tell them that, I mean, don't try to be like someone, just try to be a better version of your own self. That is what we want to achieve. This is the theory that comes from Apple. Apple as an organization, if you look at one of the common principles that they carry or the philosophy that they work with, Apple always focuses on improving its own products, how they can improve it and make the new product better than the previous one. That is what it focuses rather than copying someone else. And that is what has made Apple very, very famous. You can hear a podcast by one of the authors called as Simon Sinek, is given a very wonderful podcast about this theory of Apple actually. So I mean, uh, just try to focus on improving yourself and making yourself a better version than what you were. Okay, so clarity, the most important thing. So plan your day in advance so that you can have a head start. The next thing after clarity comes consistency. Okay, so discipline is most important thing in our life. Like our spiritual acharya in ISKCON, he always said that uh, a non-disciplined life is an animalistic life. He would always tell us that human life means there has to be discipline. So success, so there is a very famous quote, this quote is which I copied in my gym. So when I go to my gym over there, this quote is put over there which says, success isn't always about greatness, it's about consistency. Consistent hard work will lead to success. Greatness will come. Somewhere I have also read that consistent hard work will also beat talent. you know so there are examples in history. where we have someone who is talented but not consistent, and he has gone wayward in life. And on the other side, you have someone who is really hardworking. He has some talent, but his hard work has made him a champion, right? So we see this kind of examples even in our day-to-day life. So determination is a secret of your success, and this secret is found in your daily routine, which will come as a part of your discipline. Now, there is a why power. Now, what is why power really talks about is basically reasoning behind what you are doing and why you're doing it. So when you have a reason as to why you want to do this, why you want to do this consistently, why you want to add this to your daily routine, when you have that why, then you understand the importance and then you are motivated to do it. So the why power. And finally, it's developing our habits. Okay. So this consistency thing, it has a very amazing principle. So how do we bring in consistency? So it said our actions, they make impressions, and the impressions create inclinations. See, it's a very powerful statement. Our actions will create impressions, and these impressions will create inclinations. So I'll try to explain this little bit. So say for example, uh, I've never eaten sweet. I'm just giving an example. I've say for example, I've never eaten a sweet in my life. Now, the first action is I see something like gulab jamun, and the action is I eat the gulab jamun, right? So the action is of eating the gulab jamun. Now, when I do this action of eating gulab jamun, now the taste of that gulab jamun or the experience of eating that gulab jamun or the satisfaction, it creates an impression within me that, it is like this. And say for example, because of that impression, now every time I have a opportunity, my natural inclination is to eat that gulab jamun, right? So this is how our habits work or our actions work. That is why I always tell people, sometimes people like those people who follow some diets and those kind of things strictly, right? They also have cheat days. They call it as a cheat day, and some professionals, they say that you can have a cheat day or something like that. Personally, I don't agree to that because of this philosophy, because a cheat day is an action which creates an impression, and that impression over a period of time, it will create a strong inclination. It will take you down. So a cheat day is like, a person having a boat, and the guy says that, you know what, my boat is so nice, I will make only one hole today. Not much water will come. But then that one hole, over a period of time, with more and more holes, it will sink the entire boat. Okay, so we should be very careful of our actions, because our actions, when repeated again and again, they create habits. So then, just like it has a negative connotation, it also carries a positive connotation. So if you repeat good actions again and again, it will create good habits. So discipline is about inculcating good actions in our life. So 90% of our behavior is habitual. Okay, meaning we repeat the same patterns of thought and behavior day in and a day out. Why do we do that? Because there is a strong tendency of inclination over there. Those samskaras, it will attract us in that direction, our inclinations and impressions. So we should try to make sure that we are creating the right impressions and inclinations. So this is about consistency. And the last one is about connection. Okay, connections in life. This connection in Bhagavad Gita is Sangat Sanjayate Kama. It's about the association matters, right? Right from our school college days, we have always heard from our parents also that hang out only with good guys, or good company, right? That's what they have been telling us right from our childhood. Why? Because, I mean, our company decides to a certain extent even our likings and our habits and our actions. We get you can say, influenced by the company with whom we are. Someone might say, well, for me, company doesn't matter. I am very, very determined about it. Well, yeah, in the initial days it can be, but over a period of time, that company will influence you, right? So if you look at this diagram, right, it says our desires are not just linear but also triangular. It's very interesting. Look at this. So on your left hand side, there is the person. Now that person is, say, for example, us, or say, I can give like, okay, this person is me. Now, for me, there is a tempting object. So, say, for example, I am very attracted to different kinds of gadgets, and say, Apple comes up with the most amazing iPhone, which costs 2 lakhs, in the market. So, as a person, I am attracted or tempted to get this iPhone, which is worth 2 lakh rupees. Now, the moment I see the price, then I start wondering whether should I really buy it? Should I go for a cheaper version of an iPhone, which is basic iPhone and that kind of thing. So I get into a dilemma, and though the object is tempting me, but I might still hold myself from acquiring that object at that point in time. But now imagine the person endorsing that tempting object. So, say for example, I have 2 or 3 of my friends who are very dear to me, and I always want to be cool in front of them. And these 2 or 3 guys, they carry the same iPhone of 2 lakh worth. And then they come and they talk about it and market to me. Now, what happens? I get tempted to buy this iPhone, which actually I was doubting whether I should or I should not, right? So the whole marketing industry today is based on this principle, that the people endorsing objects, they influence us. So we have to be very, very careful about whose company we keep. So when we are talking about procrastination, even the connection or the environment in which we stay, it matters, because they can easily sway us away from our goals. I am determined to do something, but then I could get a phone call from some person or some friend, and saying that, hey, why you're just wasting time? Come, we'll have a party, we'll have some this time, you can do it tomorrow. You can take break for like few days. So you have to be very, very careful. So connection matters. Just like it is said, right? Connecting a magnet to iron filings, the iron filings will get attracted to the magnet, and the iron filings over a period of time will develop the qualities of the magnet. So similarly, when we are connected to a particular company, we will develop the qualities of that company. And that is why choosing the right company is very, very important. In the Shastra, like, in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna refers to specifically taking association of the Mahajans. Mahajans, who are these Mahajans? Mahajans are basically the great kings, the great personalities, the great sages, people who have been really great. So why does he talk about that? Because the moment you start associating, and when I say associating, I mean, you might say that, well, these people don't exist now. What association you're talking about? But association is not just about physically meeting people, but it's more about understanding the behavior patterns of those people, how they reacted in particular situations. So when we read about them, when we understand about them, you're actually associating to their nature. And when we do that kind of connection, then over a period of time, their qualities start getting transferred to us. So those connections really matter. So see over here, I've mentioned incorrect connection ruins good morals, right? So we have examples in the scriptures also. Like in Mahabharata, I always give this example. Karna was one character who had good morals, but incorrect association ruined him completely. So our ability to tap our ability, it is enhanced by spiritual connections. If you have the right kinds of connections, then the ability to tap our own ability itself gets enhanced. Otherwise, our own abilities, we won't be even able to tap those actually. So that is why connection is so very, very important. Okay. So this is, I mean, what I can say is the theory aspect of whatever I talked about. So I talked about the procrastination. How does procrastination start? It actually starts with because of the monkey which is sitting in our brain, right? That monkey influences us. But then we also have the panic monster who can force us to get things done. But then the panic monster, because he wakes up only there are deadlines, but in life, not everything has deadlines. So that's a problem. But then what is the solution? So the solution is we have to have a very well defined approach. So what is that well defined approach? You should have clarity. So clarity is basically a goal oriented approach. The second one is about consistency. So yes, now that you have goals, make sure that you are consistently working towards the goal. And finally, make sure you have the right kind of connections or associations. Okay, so this is in short the theory aspect of it. I'm quickly going to cover a demonstration of the practical application of it. Okay, so what is that I have done, or a sample thing that I'm going to show you. Okay, so if you see over here, so let's take the year 2025, and I have set some goals for myself. Okay, so if you look at over here, so I'm so of those 5 balls, I have just taken examples of 3 balls. Okay, over here, so say there is a spiritual side of it, and the goal that I have kept for myself is, okay, in this entire year I want to read 1000 pages of Srimad Bhagavad Puran. Okay, one of the best books. Okay, so 1000 pages I want to read in this entire year. Okay, I want to read or learn 24 shlokas from Bhagavad Gita. This is another goal I have kept for myself. In terms of health, I have said, okay, I want to walk 18 lakh steps in this entire year. I want to do 200 gym sessions. And in my professional career, I want to add 3 new skills to myself. I want to, learn 3 new skills. So this is like the goals that I have kept for myself for 2025. So this is like the entire year goal. Okay. So though life does not have deadlines, but we are putting some kind of timelines or deadlines, to define some goals. Now, these goals, they really look very high, some to a certain extent, even very difficult to achieve. So what I try to do is I break them down. So I break them down in a monthly manner. So now if I break down this monthly thing, so my reading of 1000 pages of a book becomes on a monthly basis only 84 pages. So if I read 84 pages every month, I can read 1000 pages in the year. If I learn only 2 shlokas every month, I can learn 24 shlokas. If I can walk only 1.5 lakh steps per month, I can hit 18 lakhs. Same thing over here. Gym sessions only 16 per month, 200 over here. If I do a further breakdown on a weekly basis, I have to read only 21 pages per week. I have to learn only half a shloka. In terms of walking, only 35,000 steps per week, which comes to around 5,000 steps per day, which is very manageable. So if I walk only 5,000 steps per day, I have walked 18 lakh steps for the entire year. If I do only 4 days gym sessions, I have done, workout for like 200 days in the entire year, which is very amazing actually. If I learn, only 0.05 of a new skill per day, I can learn 3 new skills in the entire month, entire year. Okay. So this is how I break my plan for the entire year. So I set my goals for the year, then I set my targets for month, and then for the same thing, I set my targets for the week. Further, what I do is I have a whiteboard in my house, and I have put that whiteboard in a room where I often visit. It should not be in your diary, it should not be on your iPad, it should not be on your mobile, because most of the times we never even open those files. But keep it in front on a whiteboard which is day in and day out visible to you. So again, that visibility aspect plays a very important role. So the more it is visible to you, the more likely you are going to do it. Okay, so what I do is, this is the kind of board that I prepare. It's a very raw, crude board, but very effective. I put my activities over here. I put my daily goals over here on the left hand side. And on the days, I just tick saying, did I achieve it? Did I not achieve it? Did I achieve it? Did I not achieve it? And at the bottom, if you see, there are to-do distractors. Now, what I do is along with this board on the side, now our mind is a very tricky animal. What it really does is whenever you try to get busy with a particular activity or work, it will bring a lot of different thoughts, and those are the times where a lot of different things also you will remember. Oh, I need to do this, I need to do those, now though these things might look important things, but they are really distractors at that moment. So what I normally do is I just write them down. If they are disturbing me when I am doing a particular activity, I just pen them down on the board saying, okay, this is something which I want to do. I'm not going to do it immediately, but I'll just put it on the board that at some point in time I need to do it. Okay. So your to do distractors should be there, and as and how you complete those, just tick them out. But focus on your goals. Now, when you start doing this, now it's amazing. There could be instances where one might not be able to meet the goals. And sometimes it becomes very demotivating, thinking that does it really work? I don't want to do it. It's almost 2 months that I have not done this activity, so I'll just stop it. But if you look at it in a different perspective, you will notice that. So I'll give you one example. So 4 months back, I had decided to read a particular book. Basically Srimad Bhagavad Puran has around uh, 18 large books, 12 cantos we call it. So I had started with my first canto. It took me almost 3 months to read that entire first canto. It had more than 1,000 pages. So I completed that book in 3 months. The fourth month and the fifth month, I hardly could read anything. So I was supposed to start with the second one. I could not do it. After 5 months, so the last 2 months where I was not able to read anything, one of my friends, he came and he said, do you think it really works? Because last 2 months, you just couldn't do anything. I said, well, yeah, you're correct. Actually, I couldn't do anything. But if you look at the entire picture, I said, if you look at my 5 months, I have already completed one canto, which normally I would not, never would have completed even it in the entire year. So the positive side is, even if you are able to meet 5% or 10% of your goals, still you are on the positive side. There is no loss, absolutely no loss. And making this board visible again and again, again and again, it will always keep you motivated to restart it again and again. So I mean, this is in a nutshell, this entire exercise. I had done this seminar, I remember, last year with few of my students, a new batch we had started in the temple actually, with few of the students who had started coming over there. And there was this one girl, and she was doing her engineering, and she later on told me all this actually. She never came to me with her problems. I had conducted this session, and then later on she came to me and she said that, uh, actually I'm doing my engineering, and she was in her third year of engineering, and in the first semester she had done very badly and she had four backlogs, so four subject backlogs, and she has to appear the second semester where she will carry five subjects. And if she does not clear them, then next year she is not going to get good, you can say, recruitment also. Most of the companies come for hiring, and if you have not cleared your backlogs and those, that's not going to happen. So she was really tensed about those whole things. So she came to me and she said, with this plan, can we do something? And then we designed this plan for her. And to my own amazement, I mean, I did this seminar and I never realized the success of this seminar. But to my own amazement, and of course, I mean, kudos to that girl also, because she put in all the hard efforts also after the plan was there. She cleared all the 9 subjects in one semester. In one semester itself, she cleared all the 9 subjects. And the next year, she went in with a first class and was able to clear her final year engineering. So it's really amazing how this works. I have, uh, multiple such examples where people have applied it and it works. There are many people who have tried doing it and have stopped doing it. I mean, you have examples of both the sides. But on a positive note, I personally apply this in my life, and uh, I try to maintain that consistency. And the good part is I always see there are some positive outcomes. And whenever there are positive outcomes, you celebrate those outcomes. You kind of reward yourself. And because of that, you will see that this tendency of procrastination will automatically start disappearing, because everything that you want to do now, you're planning it systematically and you're doing it consistently. And then you're connecting with the right people who keep you motivated to do that. So with this, I'm going to stop over here, and I'm just going to open the floor for any comments, thoughts, suggestions about this.
Thank you, Prabhuji, for giving us a very clear message for the next new year, 2025. So we have Dr. Rajvi with us. I invite Dr. Rajvi for her comments and vote of thanks. Dr. Rajvi, she is a doctorate in human IVF, and she is also Iyengar yoga teacher and a very spiritual person. Madam, please.
So, thank you, Namaskar, Prabhuji, for a very nice talk where you covered so many things in that short span of time. Starting with, talking about actually what the Gita is all about, with the attributes of Arjuna, who had all these attributes, was still in a state of mental agony. And then the message of the Gita explaining about the gross, subtle, and the causal body, the Stula, Sukshma, and Karana Sharira. And then you went all about how the balancing of the gunas, the entire subject of yoga, which is there in the balance of becoming in a state which is gunatita, beyond gunas. So where we have a rajasic state, a state of aggression, or or you have a tamasic, dull state, and the real sattvic state. And most of our life we are juggling between a tamasic and a rajasic state, rarely getting into the sattvic state because either you're under pressure or we are in a dull state. So, like a pendulum, we are shifting from one end to the other. And how this can be prevented. Coming to the right topic for this season, end of the year, people make a lot of goals, lot of ideas, lot of checklists for the next year. And possibly within a few weeks or sometimes days or sometimes just a few 1 or 2 days, this entire checklist goes down the drain and maybe, plans again restart. So you have given a very practical approach. And I would also say, just with the temperament that we're all born with, the analytical temperament, that why do we procrastinate? And we've taken up a task or we have been assigned a task. Whatever it is, we have accepted it. Then why do we procrastinate? We procrastinate if the task is too difficult. So we think we need time to build up on it. We procrastinate because it's too easy and I have enough time. I can do it quickly. I have a talk to deliver. Oh, it's very easy. I can prepare it overnight or maybe an hour before. Or the third reason, which is the most important reason, is we do not have time because there are other priorities. And very often our priorities are more objective, something where I have to submit tomorrow, I have to speak tomorrow, I have a surgery tomorrow. So these are where there are objectives, we do it. But family, health, self-education, or getting into a more inward learning of the self often become neglected because these are not objectively measured. So it's always down the priority list unless it becomes a thing. And I think it's time that we realize that we are existing, and that's the entire message of the Gita, which I think that we don't exist on our own. That is something within us, which we call in the subject of yoga, is that the mind, intelligence, and ego, which are always as if in a tussle. The ego overshoots, then the mind gets subdued. When the mind gets overpowered, then the intelligence gets subdued. So I think how the balance of the three come in. And I think you've given us a very nice perspective. And the path forward is definitely what the Gita talks about, the subject of yoga, what Sage Patanjali talks about is the subject of yoga, which starts with discipline. And I think you gave it in a very simplified manner that how we start on this path of discipline. Simple things to do, which does not require much in any form. And if we start with discipline, other things automatically follow. Then we don't need even any external agent or device to tell us what to do because it's our own self which takes us forward. So thank you for this very enlightening, interesting talk at the end of the year and something for people to look forward to in the new year because that's what one does end of the year, forget all what has happened. Let's start fresh. So giving us these new ideas. Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Rajvi. And once again, thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. We'll meet you again in the new year and we'll definitely learn from your principles, your guidance. Thank you for guiding us.
Any questions? Any questions are there? Dr. Leena?
There's a lot of clarity what he has taught us. Clarity of goals, consistency and connection.
Simplified and very
Yeah.
apt.
Yeah. I think
we plan our goals for the next year now.
End of the year, Leena, this was
it was fantastic, wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Good night.
So we end this session now and we'll continue with our transformative journey and we'll again meet you next year. Thank you so much. And thank you, Prabhu. Thank you. We conclude the session. Thank you.
Thank you.